Sarah lived in a small, dimly lit apartment that echoed with the silence of sleepless nights. The walls, adorned with reminders of her aspirations, felt like they were closing in on her as sleep slipped further from her grasp. Each morning, she would awaken disoriented, often finding herself in unusual places within her home, a stark reminder of her sleepwalking episodes. Jack, her concerned boyfriend, watched helplessly as his once vibrant partner became a mere shadow of herself. He noticed the deepening bags under her eyes, and how she flinched at every creak in their old building. His heart sank each time he found her standing by the window at odd hours, or curled up on the floor beside a forgotten book. One evening after another restless night, Jack sat across from Sarah at the kitchen table, concern etched on his face. Gently urging her to seek help, he revealed how much this was affecting not just her life, but theirs together. Yet Sarah brushed off his worries with a forced smile. She didn't want to burden him further. In truth, she was uncertain about what was happening to her. As midnight approached and shadows danced across the walls, an inexplicable urge washed over Sarah. It drew her toward the desk cluttered with paper and pens. She couldn't comprehend why she felt compelled to write. Something inside stirred restlessly. The clock struck 3, a moment heavy with anticipation, and without fully understanding why, she picked up a pen and let it glide across the page as if guided by unseen hands. Words flowed effortlessly from her mind onto paper in an almost trance-like state. The following morning brought clarity tinged with confusion when Sarah awoke groggy and disoriented once more. Rubbing sleep from her eyes, she glanced around until something caught her attention on the desk. A note lay there ominously written in her own handwriting. With trembling hands, she unfolded the crumpled piece of paper and read its chilling contents. Never sleep again. Panic surged through Sarah's veins as dread settled into every corner of her mind. She couldn't fathom writing such a thing. It felt foreign yet undeniably familiar all at once. Her heart raced as she clutched the note tighter. Each word etched itself deeper into her consciousness, desperate for answers amidst growing paranoia gnawing at her sanity like moths to fabric. She scanned every inch of their small living space for clues, but found only silence echoing back at her. When Jack entered moments later, he immediately noticed how pale Sarah had become upon discovering the note. His brow furrowed with concern as he reached for it instinctively. Together they stared down at those ominous words pulsating with foreboding energy. Jack's voice trembled slightly as he spoke softly but urgently. "This isn't normal." A chill ran down Sarah's spine as darkness enveloped them both in an uncomfortable embrace. She felt like prey being observed by something lurking just beyond sight. "I don't remember writing this," she confessed shakily while fighting back tears threatening to spill over unbidden fears now surfacing within. Jack remained quiet for a moment before speaking again, his tone steady but filled with urgency. "Maybe you should see someone, a doctor." The idea hung heavily between them like unspoken tension lingering after thunder cracks open skies above. The thought terrified Sarah even more than confronting whatever nightmare awaited during. Slumber beckoning just outside reality's doorway, each nightfall approaching ever closer. In that moment filled with uncertainty, surrounding looming threats beyond comprehension, lurking near edges obscured beneath sheets where restful dreams should dwell instead. Days passed as fatigue set deeper into Sarah's bones alongside growing dread manifesting through new notes appearing, each one increasingly menacing than before, as if some sinister force dictated their content. Directly tied to impending actions, should sleep claim dominion once more over restless nights ahead. Determined against Dr. Hart's advice to stay awake indefinitely fearing what might happen if slumber reclaimed its hold over her soul, led only towards hallucinations taking shape, amidst shrouded corners late evenings, alone under flickering lights illuminating. Shadows creeping closer till dawn broke faintly overhead suffusing warmth against ice-cold breaths. Escaping lips trembling fraught anxieties, mounting high above reason left behind somewhere, lost along tangled pathways winding inward, spiraling terrifyingly downward into chasms obscured beneath gentle whispers, drawing nearer still beckoning forth submission. Whilst clarity faded swiftly away, on one particularly harrowing night, while researching obscure occult practices, meant for those plagued by nightmares seeking control over subconsciousness itself. Not that any lucidity remained intact when revelations emerged. All too quickly did realization dawn upon fragile psyche, already frayed thin exposing. Vulnerable seams leading straight towards invoking darker rituals, meant only for desperate souls trying reclaim agency, long since surrendered toward tormentors, stalking mercilessly beneath veil, separating waking world from dreamscapes, inhabited solely by malevolence born out desperation. with little hope left and no choice, but facing phenomenon head-on through nightly confrontations against encroaching darkness, casting longer shadows just outside sight, waiting patiently till closing time arrived, when slumber inevitably beckoned a new yearning, sweet reprieve. Unaware treachery lingered ever-present, poised ready strike, whenever weakness showed, leaving haunting echoes, resonating deep-rooted fears. Tethered tight, which could finally rupture, breaking free, or falling deeper, yet still entangled forevermore. Ensnared, ultimately deciding fates. Entwined within tales spun amid moonlit whispers, heralding change, approaching, slowly creeping. Nearer, past threshold, marking boundaries, defining everything known, thus far, faltering, slowly slipping quietly. Awakening at dawn, after battling fiercely through both, mental clarity gained amid confrontation, interwoven intricately. Throughout twisting realities, unveiled opening windows wide, revealing truths long concealed. Only one final note awaited beside where she'd been sleeping. A message bearing revelations forged, not born from harm, but rather protective guidance, urging healthier choices, moving forward, unveiling pathways, illuminated clearly, devoid haunting specters, remaining behind, dissipating fog, shrouding uncertainties. Now lifted away, offering glimpses towards brighter tomorrows, filled promise. Awaiting discovery, unchained, soaring freely beyond confines, binding existence, pulled taut throughout journey. Shared thus far, embracing transformation. Reflected deeply woven strands, threading seamlessly, guiding towards self-discovery. Enriched understanding reformed anew, ushering fresh beginnings, unfurling gently alongside dawning light, streaming bright. Title: The Notes I Don't Remember Writing. Sarah often woke in strange locations around her home, disoriented and fearful, each night blurred into the next. A relentless cycle of insomnia that wrapped tightly around her mind. Jack, her concerned boyfriend, watched helplessly as she struggled against an unseen torment. He felt the weight of their sleepless nights pressing down on them both. On one particularly unsettling night, just as the clock struck 3, Sarah felt an inexplicable urge to write. When dawn finally broke, she discovered a note on her desk written in her own handwriting. It read, "Never sleep again." Paranoia clawed at her as she tried to recall writing it, but found only blankness where memory should have been. Jack's concern deepened when he stumbled upon the chilling message. He urged Sarah to see Dr. Emily Hart, a sleep specialist who could help unravel the chaos surrounding her nights. During their first meeting, Dr. Hart outlined potential psychological triggers for sleepwalking, but also sensed Sarah's resistance to conventional explanations. Something darker loomed beneath the surface, a feeling that there was more at play. Later, Mia visited with encouragement and suggested they research sleep disorders together online. In their quest for understanding, they uncovered chilling tales of others haunted by entities during restless nights, stories that resonated deeply with Sarah's escalating fears. As they delved deeper into these accounts, another note appeared beside Sarah's trembling hands, a warning more menacing than before. That night brought fresh terror as shadows danced around her room like mocking phantoms, while exhaustion crept in like a thief in the dark. As sleep beckoned relentlessly, Sarah fought against it with every ounce of willpower left within her. Yet still, visions invaded, faint glimpses of a figure lurking outside her window. Desperation gnawed at her mind. She would rather remain awake forever than confront whatever nightmares awaited behind closed eyelids. Jack continued to express worry over her deteriorating state, while trying to coax some rest into her life amidst mounting dread. The tension grew palpable between them until one fateful evening, when darkness broke through barriers of sanity completely. The moment she caught sight of the shadow slithering across the floorboards like smoke, escaping from an extinguished candle, its soulless depths locked onto hers and stirred ancient fears long buried with. Weeks passed without meaningful sleep, until fatigue finally claimed its victory one night while researching occult practices linked to dreams and spirits. An accidental invocation occurred during this desperate attempt for control over nightmares plagued by the shadow's influence. Instead of clarity emerging from this ritualistic search for answers, she opened herself further to whatever entity had been trailing behind her since those initial notes began appearing. The very thing she'd sought refuge from now entangled within her being entirely. In defiance of Dr. Hart's advice and fueled by fear alone, Sarah resolved never to surrender herself back into slumber's embrace again, despite creeping exhaustion weakening resolve daily, until confrontation became inevitable. Facing not only external horrors manifesting nightly, but also internal. Demons intertwined with painful memories surfacing alongside it all during these haunting moments, spent clinging desperately onto wakefulness, Each time, weariness threatened engulfment into oblivion once more. As days turned into sleepless, nights filled with frantic pacing through cluttered living rooms, illuminated solely by dim lamps casting eerie shadows everywhere. It reached culmination point, where silence thickened heavy enough she could almost hear whispers flitting, past corners barely out of sight, beckoning promises held tightly hidden beneath surface calm. Awakening at dawn after battling through mental clarity gained within confrontation against darkness, itself revealed one final note resting beside where she'd been sleeping. A message meant not for harm, but towards guiding healthier choices ahead, free from haunting reminders lingering closely throughout this journey towards self-discovery, forged a long way forward without leaving behind anything unresolved anymore. With newfound strength coursing through veins intertwined seamlessly alongside acceptance, flowing freely now ahead. A sense emerged that perhaps battles fought weren't simply about conquering nightmares themselves, but learning how best navigate darkness lurking always beyond reach, instead moving towards light awaiting just outside threshold, granting solace, needed once feared, forever lost amidst echoes filling voids previously. Uncharted title. The notes I don't remember writing. Sarah felt the weight of exhaustion pressing down on her. Each day a struggle against the suffocating embrace of sleep she feared so much. The notes, growing darker with every passing night, echoed in her mind like ominous whispers warning her against surrendering to slumber's sweet call. Determined not to let fear dictate her existence, she immersed herself in research, sitting cross-legged on the floor of her dim apartment, surrounded by scattered papers and flickering candles, casting dancing shadows across the walls. She delved into countless forums and articles about sleepwalking, hoping to uncover something that would grant her clarity. Mia had been a steadfast companion throughout this ordeal, spending late nights with Sarah as they sifted through information together. Despite Sarah's resistance to confronting Dr. Hart's advice, Mia encouraged her to seek help and explore every possible avenue for understanding what was happening. But the deeper they ventured into the darkness of those online tales, the more surreal it all became. Stories blurred reality with nightmares where entities tormented innocent souls during their sleep. One evening, as they read yet another chilling account from an anonymous poster who claimed to have battled a similar entity while sleepwalking, an unsettling shift filled the atmosphere, a subtle chill creeping into the room as if someone had opened a door to a shadowy realm just beyond reach. Mia, Sarah whispered hesitantly, sensing something ominous around them. Mia paused mid-sentence and glanced around uneasily. It's probably just an open window or something, right? Yet deep down inside, both women sensed it, the presence lurking at the periphery of their awareness, as if it were watching them intently from within that very darkness they sought to understand. That night brought no solace. Rather than finding answers among comforting words or friendly discussions under warm blankets piled high against winter's chill outside, Sarah found only endless dread gnawing at her sanity like relentless waves eroding a fragile shore. Days melted into restless nights filled with haunting visions. Each time she closed her eyes, she felt it. Cold fingers brushing against her skin or hushed whispers curling around her thoughts like snakes coiling tighter, until breath caught within constricting chains, binding her soul tight upon a precipice, staring deep into an abyss beckoning. Fourth surrender. Then came another note, a slip of paper resting ominously atop her desk, when dawn broke feebly through half-drawn curtains one fateful morning. Clenching its edges tightly, as trembling hands unfolded its contents, once more revealed chilling urgency, proclaiming dire consequences should any hint waver toward yielding back towards dreaded slumber again. Awake until dusk falls. It reads simply, but carried such weight. Warning woven deeply entwined through ink-marking boundaries, drawn clear between survival versus inevitable doom, looming closely behind every decision now laid bare, waiting quietly hungry for chance. Reclaim lost ground where freedom once flourished before entrapment ensued alongside fear, prevailing over willfulness, allowing shadows creep steadily forward unencumbered, leaving vulnerability exposed, entirely ripe for claiming dreams. Fractured long ago, buried beneath layers, now re-emerging frightfully alive, threatening, once again grasping hold over essence, meant sore instead, bound, shackled away, concealed. Hidden forever, obscured behind veil wrought around restlessness. Filling voids, longing escape inside fears, holding sway firmly turned inward, torturing softly, till emergence cracks surfaces, shining light upon elusive pathways, yet unseen, beckoning towards liberation, unfurling gently along edges, threading. Pieces collectively unbroken, whole seeking truth, discovered intertwined amidst rich tapestry, spun intricate detailing threads woven soft lullabies, carrying gentle promises tucked close near heart beating steady, amid chaos rising up, breaking free finally emerging from beneath casket weighed heavily down. But moments before clarity could take root fully blooming bright enough illuminate paths ahead darkness, descended suddenly and shrouding everything left in twilight. Gripped tight, not knowing whether courage would prevail conjuring warmth needed break cycles, repeating relentlessly spiraling, endlessly, downward trapping spirits dwelling far beyond sight ever nearer still closing fast awaiting chance. Strike precisely when weakness seems poised ready submit unveiling horrors, hidden latent become manifest terror, gripping tighter squeezing breathless gasps, lingering aching solitude encircling hearts yearning release always seeming just out of reach forevermore. Yet somehow grounded amidst swirling uncertainty rested a flicker igniting passion yearning unlocked dormant potential, housed long forgotten shrouded mysteries, awaiting discovery urging step forward battling fate. Determined rise above engulfment, slipping slow pressure mounting, giving way hope, creeping softly twinkling stars, winking brightly overhead shining guiding light, leading onward beyond shadows flitting past inviting possibilities unfolding. Born anew. As days continued blending into sleepless nights filled with uncertainty, tightening its grip upon sanity, stretched thin tautly across fragile seams unraveling slowly inch by inch, revealing truth's long obscured paving way. Towards revelation dawning clearly illuminating shadows, never truly extinguished merely biding time, waiting patiently toward moment fresh beginnings, unfurl connecting stories, shared whisperingly falling gracefully together weaving. Destinies intertwined forging paths anew. In the dim light of her apartment, Sarah sat at the small kitchen table, surrounded by a scattered array of notes and open browser tabs. The glow from her laptop cast flickering shadows on the walls, amplifying the unsettling atmosphere that had become all too familiar. Mia, her best friend, leaned in closer as they scrolled through various online forums discussing sleepwalking and unexplained phenomena. As they delved deeper into tales shared by others facing similar struggles, an eerie connection began to form within Sarah. Each account of restless nights, haunted by shadowy figures, resonated with her own experiences. She shivered involuntarily when she read about a man chased by a dark figure every time he closed his eyes. Noticing Sarah's growing unease, Mia reached out, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. "You're not alone in this," she reassured softly. "We'll figure it out together." But before Sarah could respond, something caught her eye. A new note appeared on the desk beside them. It was written in her own handwriting, but bore an even more menacing warning. "The longer you sleep, the deeper you fall." Fear gripped Sarah as she whispered those words aloud. Each syllable felt like a ghostly echo reverberating through the air. Whatever haunted her seemed to escalate its threats. She felt trapped in a web of dread spun tighter with each passing night. Mia's brow furrowed with concern as she glanced back at Sarah. "Maybe we should stop looking for now? Give your mind a break." But panic rose within Sarah. How could she take a break when darkness loomed just beyond awareness? Determined not to succumb to fear's grip, she focused intently on their research, while Mia attempted to lighten the mood with absurd stories about others' sleepwalking antics. Yet laughter felt hollow against the backdrop of encroaching shadows creeping around unseen corners during late-night hours, filled only with silence occasionally broken by creaking floorboards, harbingers foretelling doom ahead. Days melted into nights where reality blurred further, until fatigue clawed at her senses. Amid frantic attempts to stay alert against waves, crashing over consciousness beckoning, sweet oblivion, enticingly close, hope began to fade under despair's weight pressing heavily against her heart. One fateful evening brought exhaustion overwhelming despite desperate resistance. It led Sarah into slumber against waning willpower, until finally succumbing entirely unaware of repercussions awaiting discovery buried deep with subconsciousness. Hidden truths tangled among chaos woven through dreams meant not for escape, but entrapment instead. When she awoke next, with heart racing wildly amid clammy sheets drenched in sweat, she clutched yet another note tightly within trembling hands revealing sinister urgencies, tied intricately together urging caution devoid of any comfort, sought after desperately needing respite from revelations leading nowhere, except deeper still toward darkened chasms, waiting patiently just outside perception ready to strike delivering final blows, sealing fates entwined forevermore. Ensnared helplessly lost wandering aimlessly searching answers, found lacking same courage needed face monsters, lurking behind always haunting every step taken forward upon thin threads, woven delicately between waking world and dreamscapes. Intertwined, pulling, taut, seeking release, or remaining bound beneath oppressive silence filling empty spaces, left longing fulfillment offering nothing, but echoes reverberating endlessly around shifting shadows encompassing life once vibrant, now transformed, slowly deteriorating inch by inch, dissolving hopes and dreams once cherished left, shattered across barren floors, stark reminders of faded past memories, trailing off gently as mornings beckoned arrival, bringing forth new beginnings, illuminating paths previously obscured along journeys traversed carefully, till now forging alliances stronger than imagined, allowing light to flood, reclaim what been lost amidst overarching darkness, returning vividly alive, again breathing warmth filled with laughter and joy after long wanderings aimlessly lost, somehow transforming everything seen, touched, experienced, a new unfurling, slowly revealing possibilities. A bound waiting for discoveries ready to take. Flight soaring high above constraints binding, held firmly free at last. Title, The Notes I Don't Remember Writing. Sarah felt the weight of exhaustion pressing down on her. Each day a struggle against the suffocating embrace of sleep she dreaded more than anything. The notes that appeared every morning whispered warnings, their messages chilling her to the core and filling her with palpable anxiety. Determined not to let fear dictate her existence, Sarah immersed herself in research, sitting cross-legged on the floor of her dim apartment, surrounded by scattered papers and flickering candles casting dancing shadows. She scoured online forums and tales about entities that haunted those plagued by similar afflictions. Each story resonated painfully within her experiences. Fragments echoed like disjointed memories tainted by fear. Mia had become a steadfast companion through this ordeal, spending late nights with Sarah as they sifted through information together. Despite Sarah's resistance to confronting Dr. Hart's advice, Mia encouraged her to explore every avenue for understanding what was happening. However, the deeper they ventured into these unsettling stories, the more surreal it all became. Nightmarish accounts blurring reality and tormenting innocent souls during their sleep. As they read yet another chilling account, one striking too close to home, Sarah whispered hesitantly about the possibility of these things being real. A heavy silence fell around them, as if a curtain had drawn closed around their sanctuary from the world outside, the flickering candlelight playing tricks on their fears. Maybe it's just our minds playing tricks, Mia suggested weakly while glancing uneasily around the room. Even she couldn't shake off the feeling that something lurked just beyond their understanding, waiting patiently for darkness to descend fully before stepping forth into reality. Night enveloped them completely as shadows swirled ominously within. A cold presence brushed against Sarah's skin, while whispers coiled tightly around her thoughts like snakes ready to strike. Days slipped seamlessly into one another. Reality blurred further when another note appeared on her desk, a chilling reminder of how perilous sleep had become. This time its message screamed urgency. Stay awake or be lost. The sheer weight of those words pressed heavily against Sarah's chest. Panic erupted as thoughts spiraled endlessly. How much longer could she survive without sleep? When would exhaustion claim victory over reason? That night brought fresh terror anew. Shadows danced wickedly around corners barely visible, mocking phantoms whispering secrets meant only for ears willing to listen closely enough. Silence broke sporadically by creaks echoing faintly behind walls and closing fragile hearts, searching desperately for escape, but finding none. Only deeper entanglement pulling tighter toward a fateful meeting point looming ever closer. Finally came dawn after relentless fighting through mounting pressures, clawing at sanity stretched thin. It marked boundaries separating safety from vulnerability, waiting quietly hungry ready to seize any chance reclaim lost ground where freedom once flourished before entrapment ensued alongside fear's prevailing dominion over willfulness, allowing shadows creep steadily forward, unencumbered pressing down heavily onto spirits yearning break free. Yet amidst swirling, uncertainty rested hope, glowing softly inviting warmth illuminating possibilities, stretching outward connecting threads, gathered intertwining revealing truths, discovered among intricate tapestries, spun richly detailing destinies weaving, harmoniously forging paths anew. With newfound strength coursing through veins entwined together, forged amidst chaos rising up breaking free finally emerging from beneath casket weighed down held fast securely bound tightly surrounded by. Nothingness threatening consume everything left behind untouched moments frozen still yearning fill vibrant light. Sparked brightly alive igniting purpose rekindling passions, long forgotten spreading warm glow gently wrapping round hearts. Beating steady amidst storms raging onward surging forward unabashed ready face. Whatever unknowns awaited just beyond horizon brightening daybreak. Breaking through gradually heralding change, arriving slowly filling voids spurred onward. Illuminated threads, shining brightly guiding towards liberation, unfurling gently along edges, threading pieces collectively unbroken seeking truth. In the dim light of her apartment, Sarah sat alone at the small kitchen table, surrounded by a chaotic jumble of notes. Each piece of paper bore her handwriting, weighty reminders of warnings that grew more menacing with every passing night. Shadows seemed to close in around her, their whispers lingering just beyond comprehension. Determined to fight against the terror gripping her mind, Sarah spent sleepless nights poring over articles about sleepwalking and supernatural experiences. The soft glow from her laptop illuminated her tired eyes as she scrolled through endless forums filled with personal accounts, stories of individuals haunted by dark figures invading their dreams. With each tale, a chilling resonance formed within. It was as if these strangers shared fragments of her own nightmare. Mia, sitting beside her on the couch with concern etched across her face, leaned in closer. "Sarah," she said softly, "you're not alone in this." She squeezed Sarah's hand reassuringly. "We'll figure it out together." But before Sarah could respond to Mia's comfort, an unsettling shift filled the air. The curtains fluttered lightly despite the stillness surrounding them. Then came another note. It lay innocently atop a pile of papers, but bore an even darker message than before. "The longer you sleep, the deeper you fall." Panic flooded through Sarah like ice water rushing into her veins as she read those words aloud. Each syllable hung heavily between them, a spectral echo reverberating through silence thickening around them both. "What does it mean?" Mia asked, brow furrowed with worry. "I don't know," Sarah whispered shakily, fear creeping into her voice like shadows pooling at their feet. The sense of being trapped deepened within. Whatever haunted her seemed more powerful now, its presence palpable as if it thrived on despair. Days turned into nights where reality blurred further, until fatigue clawed desperately at her senses like a relentless beast, craving its prey. Despite frantic attempts to stay awake against waves crashing towards sweet oblivion beckoning, enticingly close, hope began to fade beneath despair's weight, pressing down upon heart and mind alike. One evening brought overwhelming exhaustion that stole away what little resolve remained within Sarah, a yielding against looming darkness, enveloping every thought, until finally succumbing entirely unaware of repercussions awaiting. Discovery buried deep beneath layers hidden safely tucked away amid subconsciousness fraught with chaos, woven intricately throughout nightmares meant not for escape, but entrapment instead. When she awakened next, with heart racing wildly amid clammy sheets soaked in sweat, she instinctively clutched yet another note tightly within trembling hands, revealing sinister urgencies, tied intricately together, urging caution, devoid any comfort sought after, desperately needing respite from revelations leading nowhere, except deeper still toward darkened chasms, waiting patiently just outside perception, ready to strike, delivering final blows, sealing fates entwined. Forevermore ensnared, helplessly lost, wandering, aimlessly searching answers, found lacking same courage needed, face monsters, lurking behind, always haunting every step taken forward upon thin threads, weaving delicately between waking world and dreamscapes intertwined, pulling, taut, seeking release, or remaining bound beneath oppressive silence, filling empty spaces, left longing fulfillment, offering nothing, but echoes reverberating endlessly around shifting shadows encompassing. Life once vibrant, now transformed, slowly deteriorating inch by inch, dissolving hopes and dreams, once cherished left, shattered across barren floors, stark reminders, faded past memories trailing off gently as mornings beckoned arrival, bringing forth new beginnings, illuminating paths previously obscured along journeys traversed carefully, till now forging alliances stronger than imagined, allowing light flood reclaim what been lost amidst overarching darkness, returning vividly alive again, breathing warmth, filled laughter, joy after long wanderings aimlessly lost, somehow transforming everything seen, touched, experienced, a new unfurling, slowly revealing possibilities, a bound waiting for discoveries ready take. Flight soaring high above constraints binding, held firmly free last, as dread settled around Sarah's shoulders like a heavy cloak each night, edging closer toward conclusion, unyielding conflict spiraling, downward, untethered from reality itself. It sparked something inside, a lingering ember refusing to die out, completely igniting passion, yearning unlocked dormant potential, housing long-forgotten shrouded mysteries, awaiting discovery, urging step, forward battling fate, determined rise above engulfment, slipping slow pressure mounting, giving way hope, creeping softly twinkling stars, winking brightly overhead, shining guiding light, leading onward beyond shadows, flitting past inviting possibilities, unfolding born anew. with newfound strength coursing through veins intertwined seamlessly, alongside acceptance flowing freely now ahead. A sense emerged that perhaps battles fought weren't simply about conquering nightmares themselves, but learning how best navigate darkness lurking always beyond reach, instead moving towards. Light awaiting just outside threshold granting solace needed once feared, forever lost, amidst echoes, filling voids previously uncharted. In the dim light of her apartment, shadows flickered ominously as Sarah sat hunched over her desk, surrounded by crumpled papers and scattered notes. Each note hinted at forgotten fears, a haunting reminder of the darkness that had woven itself into her life. The air felt thick with dread. Each breath was a struggle against the suffocating weight of exhaustion pressing down upon her. It was in this oppressive atmosphere that Sarah delved deeper into her research. The glow of her laptop illuminated fragments of stories, accounts from others who faced their own battles against unseen forces during slumber. As she read, an unsettling connection began to form between their experiences and her own. Each tale resonated painfully within the recesses of her mind, stirring feelings long buried beneath layers of denial. Mia sat across from her, concern etched on her face as she leaned closer to read alongside Sarah. They had spent countless nights together searching for answers amidst the chaos, enveloping them both. However, each new revelation only seemed to deepen Sarah's anxiety, further entwining her with fears that crept ever closer like tendrils reaching out from the dark. "Sarah," Mia whispered hesitantly after reading yet another chilling account about someone tormented by relentless nightmares and shadowy figures, lurking just beyond sleep's grasp. A shiver ran down Sarah's spine at the suggestion. She felt a cold presence settle around them as silence draped heavily across the room, a shared realization forming like an icy grip tightening around their hearts. "We can't let ourselves believe in those stories," Sarah replied weakly but resolutely. "There has to be a rational explanation." Yet even as she spoke those words aloud, uncertainty gnawed at her resolve like persistent whispers echoing through the stillness surrounding them. Days bled into one another, a relentless cycle devoid of rest where exhaustion clawed at every corner of Sarah's mind. When sleep finally claimed her one fateful evening, despite all efforts to resist it, reality fractured into shadows tangled beneath subconscious dreams meant only for escape, yet filled with treachery instead. Awakening once more amid clammy sheets soaked in sweat, panic surged when she discovered another note beside where she'd been sleeping, a chilling message declaring, "The longer you sleep, the deeper you fall." Those words echoed ominously in her mind, while images flooded back, visions of the shadow flitting just out of sight whenever weariness threatened to reclaim its hold again. With mounting fear swirling dangerously close, now intertwined deeply within thoughts bruised, yet restless seeking answers unyieldingly, it became clear how tightly bound fate lay interwoven among decisions made thus far, leading inevitably towards something profound, waiting patiently beyond the veil obscured under lingering doubts, urging forth glimpses brighter days ahead, emerging slowly, illuminating paths hidden away, lost somewhere deep inside, yearning for release filling, voids pressing ever onward toward liberation unfurling gently. As they sat huddled together amid gathering twilight, once more heavy burden laid, stretched thin, wrapped tightly around warm embraces, giving way softly, gradually yielded space, whispering hopes, anew spread wide, reaching forward, pulling, strands loose, unraveling intricately woven tapestries, revealing truths hidden along borders, defining journeys, traversed, shaping intertwined destinies, forged, brightly shining, full bloom, guiding through nights, embrace illuminating. Possibilities abound, awakening long-dormant spirits, ready to soar high above horizons beckoning, forth infinity, endless brightening, dawn nearing. Yet somehow grounded amidst swirling uncertainty, rested a flicker igniting passion, yearning unlocked dormant potential, housed long-forgotten shrouded mysteries, awaiting discovery, urging step, forward battling fate, determined rise above. Engulfment slipping, slow pressure mounting, giving way hope, creeping softly, twinkling stars, winking brightly overhead, shining, guiding light, leading onward beyond shadows, flitting past, inviting possibilities, unfolding born. But moments before clarity could take root, fully blooming, bright enough illuminate paths ahead, darkness descended suddenly, enshrouding everything left in twilight, gripping tight, not knowing whether courage would prevail, conjuring warmth. Needed break cycles, repeating, relentlessly spiraling, downward trapping spirits, dwelling far beyond sight, ever nearer, closing fast, awaiting chance. Strike precisely. When weakness seems poised, ready, submit, unveiling horrors, hidden latent. Become manifest terror, gripping tighter, squeezing breathless gasps, lingering aching solitude, encircling hearts, yearning release. always seeming just out of reach forevermore. As daylight broke through once more after fierce battles fought silently within minds collectively striving toward understanding, only one final note awaited beside where she'd been sleeping. A message bearing revelations forged not born from harm, but rather protective guidance urging healthier choices, moving forward unveiling pathways, illuminated clearly devoid haunting specters, remaining behind dissipating fog shrouding uncertainties, now lifted offering glimpses towards brighter tomorrows filled promise awaiting discovery, unchained soaring freely beyond confines, binding existence pulled taut throughout journey, shared thus far embracing transformation, reflected deeply woven strands threading seamlessly, guiding toward self-discovery, enriched understanding, reformed anew ushering fresh beginnings, unfurling gently alongside dawning light streaming bright. In the deepening twilight, Sarah stood at the threshold of her apartment, resolve battling against the suffocating dread that had seeped into every corner of her existence. The walls pulsed with whispers of warnings, shadows lingering just beyond sight, as if anticipating her next move. Each night felt like impending doom, something she could no longer postpone. With little hope left and no choice but to confront this phenomenon head-on, she prepared herself for an inevitable clash against the darkness that plagued her nights. The notes had become urgent, each one more menacing than the last, demanding attention and revealing truths long obscured beneath layers of fear. As dusk descended, cloaking everything in shadowy uncertainty, Sarah settled into a routine that morphed into a nightly ritual filled with unease. She lit candles around her small space, their flames flickering precariously against the dark. Tonight would be different. Tonight she would face whatever lurked within those shadowy corners. The clock ticked steadily towards midnight as she made herself comfortable in a chair by the window. The view outside muted under dimming streetlights, casting elongated silhouettes across her room. Taking a deep breath to steady rising anxiety coursing through her veins like ice water, she closed her eyes momentarily in search of calm amid chaos swirling all around. Within moments, however, it returned, the cold presence haunting not only her dreams, but now threatening to invade every waking hour too. A whisper echoed faintly from somewhere close by. Words indistinguishable yet thick with malice wrapped tightly around them, drawing nearer, still beckoning forth submission, while clarity faded swiftly away. Opening her eyes abruptly filled with determination and trepidation alike, it was time for confrontation. "I won't let you take me," she murmured softly into the stillness enveloping everything surrounding. She needed this declaration etched firmly within, as heart pounded fiercely beneath ribs constricting tight, preparing itself for battle ahead fought not merely physically but spiritually intertwined deeply along pathways previously untraveled leading toward enlightenment, discovering courage awaiting reclamation lost throughout months, spent wandering aimlessly down winding roads fraught with peril, creeping closer waiting, patiently seeking chance to strike, when vulnerability showed itself clearly bare without armor shielding soul behind walls, erected long ago, crumbling slowly under pressure, mounting high above reason losing grasp, over sanity tethered by frayed threads, barely holding onto hope shimmering bright yet distant. Time melted away as shadows flickered uncertainly against walls painted in darkened tones growing heavier, until they seemed alive pulsating rhythmically alongside breaths, escaping trembling lungs drawn tightly coiled ready for release, weaving intricate patterns between consciousness slipping deeper into twilight where edges blurred defining realms, separating waking existence from dreams, meant neither escape nor reprieve, instead trapping thoughts captive amidst labyrinths sprawling endlessly free falling down spirals, enticing clarity elusive fading, fast giving way to despair filling voids yearning fulfillment, offering nothing except echoes, reverberating endlessly throughout haunting spaces once vibrant, now transformed, becoming mere reflections, haunting memories fading, trailing off, gently leaving behind fragments, scattered quietly along pathways, once cherished, lost forevermore, dissolving hopes and dreams turning to ashes blown, gently adrift, carried far away out of reach, near impossible to reclaim ever again. Then came another note resting silently upon her desk. A reminder born anew, crafted meticulously, shaping destinies, intertwined telling tales, spun intricately woven together, urging steps forward, reminding never to turn back, facing familiar realities masked under veils, perception blurry, twisting slowly truth, hidden glimpses revealed through whispered secrets, threaded through gentle lullabies, guiding onwards, illuminating paths, beckoning boldly brighter tomorrows where floods shining warmth breaking through clouds shrouding lives, illuminating ways forward, embracing transformation, reflected deeply woven strands threading seamlessly guiding towards self-discovery, enriched understanding, reformed anew, ushering fresh beginnings, unfurling gently alongside dawning light streaming bright, with newfound strength surging within, offering fresh perspective amidst conundrums unraveling before stretched thin emotions, threatening spill over finally released, no longer fearful surrendering control completely, but rather embracing, mysteries unfolding. Sarah stepped boldly onto a journey awaiting discovery, brimming with possibility, abundant spanning horizons, vast open wide inviting exploration, transcending boundaries long since established, allowing brilliance to shine. Brightly forth, unlocking doors, opening arms, welcoming embrace tomorrow, today, breathing freely, finding solace, nestled warmly, cradled deep inside, knowing ultimately whatever awaited just beyond edge, darkness lurking patient, ever watching. It could never extinguish fire, ignited, fierce, blazing, determined, rise up, standing strong, united, forging paths. A new shimmering, bright, awakening souls, once dormant, eager reclaim what been lost, forever bathed in glory radiant, displayed vividly. Alive, igniting passions, soaring high above constraints binding, held firmly free at last. Title, the notes I don't remember writing in the depths of her disoriented state. Sarah felt herself teetering on the edge of sanity. Her relentless battle against sleep had transformed into a haunting obsession, where the lines between reality and nightmare blurred further with each passing hour. The notes she uncovered held chilling warnings that echoed in her mind, taunting her with their sinister implications. One somber evening, as shadows flickered across the walls of her apartment, an unsettling atmosphere pressed heavily against her chest. Mia sat beside her, trying to hold onto the fraying threads of Sarah's clarity. Concern etched in Mia's features, she urged softly, "You need to rest." "I can't afford to sleep," Sarah replied tersely, exhaustion lacing her voice with desperation. "Every time I do, it gets worse." A shiver coursed through her as memories flooded back, each night spent fighting off slumber while grappling with visions clawing at the edges of her consciousness. Mia took a deep breath and began reading aloud from one of their findings. A story about someone who faced a dark entity thriving on fear during sleep. Just as those words wove a sense of camaraderie among kindred spirits lost in darkness, another note appeared beside Sarah, a fresh warning inscribed in familiar handwriting. "The longer you sleep, the deeper you fall." A cold wave washed over both women as silence enveloped them like fog settling low against the ground. Anxious glances exchanged spoke volumes of unspoken fears lingering just beneath calm exteriors. Panic surged through Sarah's veins as she read those words aloud again. Each syllable felt like chains clanging together, reminders that whatever haunted her grew stronger by day, while shadows crept forward inch by inch, threatening all sense left intact, ready to strike without mercy. It felt as if there were no options remaining unturned, seeking respite, found nowhere amidst swirling chaos. Binding tightly fastened dreams, torn apart, drifting, dangerously close toward surrender, beckoning forth into darkness awaiting. Eagerly poised behind fading light, days bled into nights where reality twisted itself, until fatigue clawed relentlessly at every facet of thought, leaving only remnants scattered across barren landscapes, filled sorrowful yearning crushed. Beneath weight pressing down heavily upon her heart, slowly ripping apart, seemed stitching together fragile sanity stretched thin. Then came that fateful moment. The night when exhaustion finally claimed its victory over Sarah's desperate attempts to remain awake and vigilant. As weariness enveloped her mind in an irresistible embrace, lulling gently away everything known till then. Resistance crumbled quietly, yielding willingly, unaware consequences lurking concealed within subconscious depths, kept hidden tightly. Shut away, all truths bound tightly, wrapped up, neatly packaged in ribbons long forgotten, lost beneath waves crashing violently upon shorelines, breaking free, reaching heights unseen. Since dawn first illuminated paths now obscured yet, yearning for return. Awakening abruptly amid clammy sheets soaked from sweat, panic surged when she discovered another note waiting ominously nearby, resembling prior warnings urging caution, calling clearly forth brighter futures laden. Heavy burdens seeking ways to break free, but instead merely served amplifying distress, surrounding every thought, racing madly, spiraling, downward, hopelessly grasping short wisps, air barely escaping, lips trembling along fractured edges. Threatening swallow whole, leaving nothing but echoes marking passage, time lost, amidst tangled webs spun intricately connecting destinies, woven closely together, leading somewhere far beyond unexplored territories, carrying promise soaring. High above constraints, binding hearts, longing fulfilled, releasing luminous power, igniting courage, burning bright anew, embracing possibilities, unfolding, eternally transcending barriers. once imposed, reigniting dormant passions, turning tides, bringing forth life anew, flourishing, vibrantly fresh beginnings, dawning, beautifully illuminating roads, ahead filled wonderment, waiting eager exploration, unfurling gently alongside burgeoning hope, blooming, brightly emerging, freedom tasted, sweetly final step taken towards liberation, forged through resilience, reminding always, darkness cannot overshadow light forevermore, carried onward, hearts beating steadfastly, through trials, overcome, forging paths, anew blossoming joyously forth, towards horizons, shimmering, brilliantly alive, untouched boundaries expanding, endlessly beyond reach, welcoming adventure lying just beyond thresholds crossed. In the dim light of her apartment, Sarah stood at the threshold, tension winding around her like an unwelcome embrace. The notes haunted her thoughts, each message swirling with urgency that grew darker with every passing night. Shadows danced just beyond her vision, lurking in corners and feeding off her anxiety. The fight against this unknown terror had drawn out far longer than she anticipated. Yet here she was, ready to confront whatever darkness awaited her in slumber's grip. As twilight deepened into night, Sarah lit candles around the small room. Their flickering flames cast shadows on the walls that seemed to pulse as if alive. Tonight would be different. Tonight she would face the shadow that plagued her nights and wove sinister threads through her waking hours. With determination echoing in her heart, Sarah settled into a chair by the window. Outside, streetlights flickered weakly against the encroaching darkness that enveloped everything in its path. She inhaled deeply, steeling herself against rising dread. It was time for confrontation. Then came the familiar chill, a cold presence settling over her skin like ice water, filling every crevice of warmth within. Whispers curled softly around her ears. Words indistinguishable but thick with malice drew near, as if waiting for an opportune moment to strike. Suddenly resolute and unyielding, Sarah opened her eyes wide and spoke into the void. "I won't let you take me." Her voice trembled slightly, but carried strength born from desperation. A fierce declaration meant to reclaim control not just of herself, but also of all that had been twisted away from reality during this journey filled with uncertainty. Time flowed differently as shadows flickered across walls painted in dark hues, growing heavier until they felt almost sentient. Each movement mirroring breaths escaping trembling lungs tight against pressure mounting high above reason, itself where sanity teetered perilously on thin threads, barely tethered to hope shining bright yet distant. Reality began to fracture, perceptions blurred as she fell deeper into twilight's embrace. A realm where dreams mingled dangerously with nightmares meant neither for escape nor solace. Thoughts spiraled through labyrinthine paths, leading only toward despair, filling voids once vibrant, now transformed mere echoes, reverberating hauntingly amid fading memories, trailing softly away across barren floors, scattered remnants lost, forevermore dissolving hopes, drifting adrift into obscurity. Amidst this chaos emerged one final note resting silently upon her desk. A reminder crafted meticulously, urging steps forward towards brighter tomorrows, illuminating paths, beckoning boldly ahead, filled with possibilities abundant, transcending boundaries long established, inviting exploration, anew without fear binding, tightly held fast beneath burdens once pressing down heavily, now lifted gently away, amidst renewed clarity, embracing transformation, unfolding brightly, woven strands guiding toward self-discovery, enriched understanding blossoming fresh beginnings, unfurling alongside dawning light streaming forth, with newfound strength surging within, offering fresh perspective amidst conundrums unraveling before stretched thin emotions, threatening spill over finally released, no longer fearful, surrendering control completely, but rather embracing, mysteries unfolding. Sarah stepped boldly onto a journey awaiting discovery, brimming with promise, spanning horizons vast open wide, inviting whatever awaited just beyond, shadows lurking patiently, ever watchful, yet powerless against fire. Ignited fierce within, determined, rise up, standing strong, forging pathways, anew shimmering, brightly awakening souls, eager reclaim what been lost, finally free at last.